of La République du Cameroun, I've said this from time immemorial, had never really seen us as full-blown citizens of that country. This is something that we have known for a long time, but some have lived in denial. Next, the citizens of La République du Cameroun don't only see us not as full citizens, they even see us more or less as slaves. That is why you hear them commonly use the word, because unfortunately they use the word Bamenda. You hear them say, quand tu as ton Bamenda, vraiment tu es tranquille. And when they say, quand tu as ton Bamenda, they mean if you succeed, you have your plantation, you have your, you need someone to work in your house, you have your this and that, you have your farms, you have your taxi, you have your everything. If you succeed in getting a Bamenda, that's ton Bamenda. Because sometimes when they say ton Bamenda, it doesn't mean it's only from Bamenda. That they are looking at the situation of Southern Cameroonians. When they say country at ton Bamenda, they mean that when you already have that, you're a slave. That there are people who don't even know anything. They take our honesty, our honesty for a weakness. That's what they insult. Because they consider that they take you. I had a conversation with one of them, an Eton fellow. He says they just take you, put on the farms there, farm that he himself had, tilled, used people in the village had never been able to get even 200,000 francs out of that farm. But he confided the farm to someone from the Southern Cameroonians who came looking for a portion to cultivate their own farms. So he confided in his own portion and had his own identity. And then the man said within a few months, he could get 500,000, 600,000, 800,000. Come, the person has tilled the farm, cultivated, harvested crops, sold, and kept. Say, mais, je n'ai jamais vu ça. And then instead of praising such a fellow, you are demeaned. C'est vraiment quand tu as ton Bamenda, tu peux dormir tranquille. And despite all that honesty, at the least error, the punishment that you get, the correction that you get, is commensurate only to that given to a slave, only to that given to an inanimate object. So that has been the Lord. If you go to most of their homes, they have our sisters, our wives, our children, especially since 2017, the outbreak of this conflict, this Mr. Biya's genocidal war in the Southern Cameroons. Most of their houses have our sisters, our wives, our children as domestic servants, whom they exploit to the fullest and pay worse than catechist salaries. But at the least error, what they get is horrible. This is why I've said 1,001 times to our people, La République du Cameroun citizens have never considered us as human beings. When they sit and say our brothers or our sisters, we are not. Therefore, stop thinking anything in that light. And that's what I've said. Don't run away from the fire pan and get into fire, because it becomes double jeopardy. They use you, they exploit you. Of course, they've used a lot of them as prostitutes. They exploit you, they even kill some, they torture you in all forms. And at the same time, they go ahead to tell the international community that you are living peacefully, freely, and enjoying in their land because, they are humane, they are nice, and you don't even feel like we need to go, that there is no problem. It's only some people who are disturbing that there are problems. So you end up in what I call double jeopardy. I'm saying this because of this particular case. Look at this young lady here. This young lady you see on my screen, her name is Brendalin B. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, her name is Brendalin B. So this young lady, Brendalin B, she has been a house servant, call it house girl, to a couple in La République du Cameroun there for 14 years. For 14 good years, she has been a domestic servant in this home for 14 good years. From findings, she is not registered with the National Social Insurance Funds. From findings, her pay is not up to 50,000 francs. Her pay was never up to 50,000 francs. And you would like to know that she was not just a domestic servant to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. She was a domestic servant to a couple linked to the presidential family, to someone by name Christian Mataga. Christian Mataga is the Director General of the Forestry Company of Mr. Paul Biya's son, Frank Biya. And this Christian Mataga is a very close friend of Frank's, but the son of Mr. Biya's late very close friend, a guy with whom they were at the seminary. So this is to say that Brendalin B was a housemate to a member of the presidential family of La République du Cameroun, treated in this kind of manner, that is, paid not up to 50,000 francs a month. She has a family, husband, and 2 children. And this poor girl, therefore, this poor young lady, found herself in a very nasty situation. A situation where she called her boss. That was somewhere on the 14th of December to report that one of the cooks, one of the maids in the house, one of the workers, a gentleman from the center in the house, had broken into the boss's room, into Mr. Christian Mataga's room. And this is Christian Mataga on this picture that you see. That is him, and that is his wife on the other side. Mr. Mataga is standing to the left of Francis Ngannou, while his wife is standing to the right of Francis Ngannou. That is the couple. That Brendalin B, that you just watched, whose picture I displayed there a while ago, served for 14 good years. And so it came to pass that one of the cooks, whose name is Mbem Loga Michel, is reported to have broken into the room of Mr. Mataga and the wife, while Brendalin B, according to the story, was taking her bath. This gentleman broke into the room, shattered the safe and other objects where money is kept, because money apparently is thrown anyhow. Of course, those people we know. The last time we heard about the director of civil cabinet, and they said over 1.4 getting to 2 billion CFA francs was stolen from his house in cash. I mean, in cash, in cash, almost 2 billion CFA francs, and no one has gone after him. There is a law in Cameroon that forbids people from hoarding money in their houses. They expect you to put that money in the bank. That is why if you are a civil servant or a state agent, if your salary is above 100,000 francs, they oblige you to open a bank account, because they don't want people to be circulating so much cash or hoarding money in their homes. But that law has never been applied. Some Vonda close to 2 billion. We heard a lot about Mama Fuda with 400 million stolen from his house, 600 million stolen from his house. We've heard about Jacques Famundongo, where people walking in his house at one point said there are rooms in the house where he returns from work each day sometimes with bags of money, and they just throw those bags into those rooms, that there's money in his house that can be, there's more than money that would be in about 2 to 3 banks put together. And so this young man breaks into the room of Mr. Mataga, snatches 20 million CFA francs and disappears. Poor Brendalin B, when she comes from taking her bath, she realizes that something had just happened and moves in and notices that someone had broken into the room of the boss and that certainly they had stolen money. She is the one who calls the boss and the wife, who were not around, to inform them on December 14th that something like that had just happened. The gentleman succeeded in crossing out through the gates where the security guards were with the money by deceiving them that the boss had directed him to take money and certain objects. I think he didn't even show them that it was money. He said to go and deliver a parcel, because the bag that he carried with the money inside, he put other things on top of that bag. And so the security guards let him go out. And Brendalin B is who calls the boss to report. Guess what happens? When the boss comes back, they immediately call in security. They call in the security services to take charge of the situation they call the famous said, where Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and members of his cabinet were kept incommunicado for over 8 months. They called the said and hand in Brendalin B. That is the person that reported becomes the first suspect. And this poor girl, despite all her explanations, no, they kept her in detention through Christmas. From the 14th of December through Christmas, she spent Christmas at the said, where she underwent all forms of torture so she could confess that that cook seemingly was her boyfriend, and they teamed up together so that he should steal the money, and then she will pretend as if she doesn't know. The poor lady explained she didn't even know exactly what was happening or what they were talking about. Despite that, her children and her poor husband cried their tears dry, cried their eyes dry. They never bothered these heartless human beings. I mean, these heartless human beings kept Brendalin B in detention until the 3rd of January. So she spent Christmas and New Year in Gendarmerie detention. And finally, on the 3rd of January, she was taken to a state council who threw her on a waiting trial in Kondengi. Now look at this. If you don't want to say that this is a clear demonstration that the kind of treatment being meted out to Southern Cameroonians in La République du Cameroun is official government position, if you have ever doubted that, this is one evidence too clear that you should no longer doubt. Because this is a presidential family. Now what happened? You have not heard that the security guards who were in the house were detained for even 1 minute. I mean, the security guards who are not Southern Cameroonians, who are not Ambazonians, none of them was ever detained even for 10 seconds. But this gentleman, for him to succeed in escaping with the money, had to pass through the gates where there are security guards. The security guards let him go. No security guard is in detention. None of them were ever even bothered for 1 second. But the vulnerable person among them who had no powers to be able to stop the thief, Ben Logan Michel, from running away when he had stolen this money. Because the security guards are the last defense at the gate there against such an error. No, because they are citizens of La République du Cameroun, nothing ever happened or will ever happen to them. But because Brendalin B is not a human being, despite serving these people for 14 years and never being accused for ever stealing even 1,000 francs, she's in jail. And this is by the presidential family. Presidential family. Christian Mataga, who I'm showing on the screen here, is the Director General of a forestry company, a mega forestry company, where they turn billions of CFA francs owned by Frank Biya, the supposed son of the President of the Republic. Do these people have consciences? Do these people care? This is one more act that should send a sound message to the minds and souls of every single Southern Cameroonian that the people of La République du Cameroun have never and will never consider us as humans. Why are we begging for relationships? I hear some people still sit and have the audacity to still be talking federalism, confederation, or any kind of form of union with La République du Cameroun. These people see us as animals. At worst, or at best, they see us as slaves. And see the kind of treatment given. This is somebody who has served for 14 good years. 14 years. Diligently. When you look at her, she doesn't look like someone who should actually be working in the kind of place where she's working with the kind of people that she is working. On a pay of less than 50,000 francs. Serving members of the presidential family. Listen, folks. What has happened or is happening to Brendalin B is not an isolated case. That is what is happening to our folks all over La République du Cameroun. Some are even simply treated in the farms, in the lake, in the farms, in the Mbam, in the farms, beaten and even killed and buried. And nobody knows. That's why some of our people get up and start saying, we have family members who went to this time, we are looking for them. For years now, we have not heard from or about them anymore. That is their fate. I think Brendalin B should just be in jail now because of what is going on now. Because they sense that there will be an alarm. And I want to absolutely thank the guy of the what I call it, the TGV, de l'info, for bringing this particular matter public. But I've reached out to a lot of other people in Yaoundé who make me understand that the treatment they gave Ms. Brendalin B, as they said, was horribly inhuman. That she was beaten to pulp a good number of times to force her to confess on something she knows nothing about. So right now, she's in jail. Her poor husband and children are in limbo. Despite all the years she served these people, and they can't demonstrate that there is any time she has ever stolen 50 francs. And at the same time, what is embarrassing, the gendarmerie has sent out a search warrant, or that's a search notice regarding the supposed thief, Mbem Logan Michel, who escaped with the 20 million CFA francs. So you know the person that stole the money. Why do you keep an innocent woman? Why do you torture an innocent woman? Why do you reduce an innocent woman to a barest expression, to rubble? Folks, I'm taking a bit long on this because it's so disheartening. If Brendalin B knew that she had a hand in that theft, she wouldn't have been in the house. She did not escape. She is the one who called the attention of Mr. Christian Mataga and the wife. Look at them here, posing with Francis Ngannou. She is the one who called their attention to the fact that someone had broken into their room and stolen money. That the cook had broken into their room and stolen money. And because she knew that she was innocent, she didn't have any reason to escape. They went and took her from the house. From the house to the set. They didn't go looking for her. It's such a shame, folks. It's really such a shame. I feel so horrified by this. Let us spread this story. Let us share it to all the human rights organizations we can, so they let the world know and see exactly what we have been talking about.